Hi, welcome to the Pints Polishing Podcast. I'm Marshall. That's Nick. You can find us at hypercleanstore.com or Hyperclean Specialist Group on Facebook if you want to go in and interact and see a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. Nick, hey, I am diving into Landshark, right? Landshark beer. You know who made that popular? Where's the little shark head? Sing some music. Jimmy Buffett. Were you never
Oh,
a
there
Buffett?
you go. Buffett's gone, dude.
I know. Were
Buffett.
you a Buffett fan? Were you?
I mean, if somebody wanted to
Margaritaville, come
go,
on.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
No,
I
not
mean,
your
it's not
cup.
like,
Well,
it's not
listen,
like it's on my playlist every day, but I could listen to it.
not your cup of beer either, huh? I love Land Shark. It's great for when you're out at the beach or just chilling, drinking some beer. It's a great one for me. One of my favorites. So we drank it up pretty much all weekend. I thought, you know what? Why not? I'll drink some more. Good beer. All right, I'm buying. I'm buying. Listen, it's something I think I've kind of bought before. It's okay. I'm buying again. And it's because not just when you see we'll talk about the guy I saw out in his elements earlier, right? This is fun when you see the Corvette guy in his elements, right? That's interesting. But I'm buying it comes from a kid that was here last week and went and bought some stuff. And then he walks me out to his Civic and he had put this chrome hood all on top of it, right? And you can see where it still
Chrome.
had some bubbles and he showed
Oh,
me
you
this
mean
other stuff.
he vinyl wrapped it? I was like, chrome hood. I never seen a chrome hood like that.
Well, I hadn't either. Now I did, like, and you could, right? That's why you could see some stuff, but you weren't going to see it, right? You didn't want to. You wanted to appreciate, at least I did, him appreciating his Civic, his vehicle. He was excited about his chrome hood. Yes, was it wrapped? Yes, but to him, it was a chrome hood. He was pumped. And I go, I didn't know chrome was coming back in. He goes, well, with me, it is. Okay,
There you
man,
go.
you're
Do
my
it your
guy.
way.
Like,
Do it
you're
your
my
way.
guy then. I am buying you. You're the guy that can appreciate his car, wants to do what he wants with his vehicle, doesn't care what somebody else thinks. He was pumped about his chrome hood. Like, loved it, was thrilled about it, wanted me to see it. In.
Yeah, metallic
I'm
wraps
buying
are
that guy.
metallic wraps are a big thing here. Actually, a lot of Teslas with metallic wraps. It's like, man, I'm glad you think that looks good because it's not. Uh, I'm going to buy something very similar. So we have a kid lives at the end of our street, just turned 16, got himself a properly beat up Mustang, for his first car, which I can appreciate. I had a beat up
Absolutely.
Jeep. So I'm going to appreciate something because I would have probably done the same thing. I know I did do a lot of the same things. He literally knocked on our door on Saturday and said, "Hey, Uh, I noticed you keep your cars nice. I just got my first car. What should I do?"
That's
Now,
awesome.
some of it's not reversible. Let's be fair. It's been hit. It's got the sun kisses on it, and it's rough. But I literally just said, "Hey, man, I got so much stuff in my garage. Like, drive your car down here, back it into my driveway, and I'm going to give you everything you could ever need to take care of this car." Then Sunday comes around and he knocks on my door again and he does the unthinkable. For a 60-year-old today or a 16-year-old, it's unthinkable. "Hey, man, could you show me what I should do? I got these chemicals. I don't want to misuse them." In the world of internet know it alls, from the age of 80 to the age of 15, this kid knocked on my door twice. I never even, I maybe met him, walk around the neighborhood saying hi or something, but knocked on the door, said, "Hey, your car's looking good shape. What do you do?" Went through it. And I think we're going to probably try to bring him on this summer and, earn some summer money. But the thing I'm going to buy is the fact that he knocked on the door to figure something out. Then when he looked at all the chemicals, goes, "I don't really know what I'm doing." Knocked on the door again and said, "You mind showing me?" I said, "Dude, just back in the driveway. We'll kind of run through it here. I'll show you how things work, what you need, get the basics down." And he's like, "Well, how do I get this off?" I said, "That ain't coming off. Okay. But when you have some money saved, I'll get you to a body shop. He'll give you a good price because I'll send you there. And so I was happy to see it, right? Because one of the things, everybody's neighborhood's a little different. I don't have a lot of kids washing their own car, doing stuff to their car, reasonable. We do have some kids that don't understand like what a good exhaust is, or we got those kind of kids, which is cool. I'm glad they're into it, but this kid seems to want to start his life out temporary plates. Only had it like a day, so he got it Friday. Knocked on my door on Saturday.
Are you really? It didn't sound sort of sarcastic. You're excited about those mufflers that are going down the street.
Yeah,
You sound like the get off my lawn
those
guy. Did
not get
Nick
off
turn
my
to get
dude.
off my lawn guy?
There's 40-year-olds that think those exhausts are great. So it's not a young kid thing. Like I just don't like corny exhaust. That's
What we
all.
used to joke about on the pub, Tibetan tunes or something like that. Or what do we
Yeah,
call
it's like I mean all the popping. It's like come on, man. Just get a big boy exhaust. Just save up a little money. Get the real one. Those kind of things. But it's what they're into. I'm cool with that. It's fun to have a joke about it. It's your car. Do what you want. I don't want everybody getting all upset. Whatever you like, you like. But I had another incident in my neighborhood. The guy that lives at the very front of my neighborhood. I never seen it before. Pulls out in front of me. Then I go behind him. Marty, this guy likes Monster Energy so much. He got the green wrap on his Dodge Ram to match the Monster sticker. Boy, you got to love Monster to be doing that. If you don't own Monster, that's a wild move. I mean, I couldn't get a picture of it. You know what I mean? I'm like looking for my phone. I'm like, oh, I got to get a picture. I couldn't get a picture. So I hope I see it again.
Well, maybe he worked. Does he work? He doesn't work there?
No, no, no. It didn't. It seemed like he just went to the wrap shop and said, "Let me get the ugliest green wrap to match this Monster Energy sticker on the back of my dude." It was part of the reason I couldn't find my phone, and my daughter's in the back. I'm like almost hyperventilating, laughing. Like one of those moments that just kind of hits you, and you don't know why you're laughing so hard. And she's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm like, I couldn't even explain it. I'm just see this green Dodge Ram that matches his Monster sticker, dude. I lost it for it had to be 7 or 8 minutes. It had to be. I just couldn't find my phone. I couldn't, dude. I wish I'll get a picture of it though. I'll post it when I finally get it.
It was like the other day when I joked with you, right? Saw two guys sitting out in their garage talking about their car. And it was like, wow, did I see it in the wild? Two people debating a car in a garage. Right? My detailer did this. When you see it, when you see something in the wild, you're just like, man, how can I take a picture? Right. So speaking of seeing something in the wild, I want to take a picture, right? That was me. And there was just no way, right? In Uber, we're headed down. This is always the fun you experience conversations. This really does become part of Uber, right? Like, first of all, you question the vehicle that you're getting in, and then you question what that conversation with the Uber driver is going to be like.
Yep.
So, right, right as we're starting to get into some fun stuff, then he points out this house and this Corvette guy up here because we started talking about cars. Oh, and you got to see this guy. And here we go. We come up, and sure enough, really beautiful house. You could tell he got to his point in life. He's super pumped. He's got a beautiful house on the beach, and inside of his garage are two lifts.
I'm
Those
in.
two lifts contain four vehicles, two on top, two below. Three more were out in the driveway. So you could definitely tell he loved his what, Nick? What did he love?
Got to be Corvettes.
Gotta be Corvette. Loved his Corvettes. It was Corvette
Yeah.
guy in the pristine. And the guy
Yeah.
talked, the Uber driver talked about how he'll pull them out. And I mean, he's known in the area for loving his Corvettes. And sure enough, on the way back after that, restaurant bar we went to, we're going back to the Airbnb. Man, he was out there. And I
I love
saw
it.
him.
I love it.
One in each hand. It was a tan look. So
Chamois?
the only thing I could, right, you're driving by, I saw him walking out with two things in his hand. Like the only thing I could assume was that he was going then to sham because he had him then at this time paraded all around. So he'd been working on him. Most likely Corvette dude was grabbing a chamois and going to town. What do you think I yelled out of the window when I'm driving by? Do you think I was yelling, man, that's awesome? Or I was going, dude, you suck with the chamois. What do you do? Right? Like, I can really appreciate, even though it wasn't to right? Even though it was a chamois, but he was caring for something that he loved.
Yeah, no, I'm in. I'm in. Look, we're all very particular and we all have a different knowledge than the average car owner. But so few people take care of their cars that when you see people taking care of their cars, you gotta give it a nod, right? I think we went to a busy parking lot, and I told you I've been teaching my daughter a lot about, looking at cars and, she's pretty particular now, pretty early. And I think we counted on the way in like 62 cars, not one of them even washed. Not one. So this guy, again, chamois not top level. That's not what we all advocate for. But in an era where so many people don't take care of their cars, you can't be negative about it. And I think sometimes that's where we as detailers kind of run people off and get people, a little bit turned off to our way of doing things, is because it's like, look, man, I don't want to see people, using a broom on a stick. Which I got a funny story about that. We had a run in with a customer who we've been trying to kind of get him away from our business for a year or so. So finally, he makes this unreasonable claim, and I'm like, "Hey, man, you're gonna have to find somebody new to take care of your stuff." He's got a brand new Raptor. My guys see the new guys he hired recently. They had a sweep broom scrubbing the side of his truck, like who you sweep your floor with. Yeah, yeah, scrubbing the side of his truck. So sometimes things come around full circle. Is my point. It's like this guy was really, really bad to deal with. A complete, you know what, we put up with it for a long time. My guys had enough. They're like, "Hey, we can't deal with this guy anymore. Do you want to deal with him?" I'm like, "No, I hear you." Got rid of him. He gave me the whole, F you speech. You'll see. I'll have somebody else. Yep. They had a broom on the side of his black Raptor. Yeah. That was my last couple weeks funny karma story with a customer. But look, man, when you see people taking care of their stuff, we got to embrace it. And hopefully they find people like us, those guys and gals listening, ourselves, and do start to ask some questions and get involved in the specialist group or things like that. But yeah, I'm not ideal, but I don't know, man. You got, what, 6, 7 Corvettes and you're taking care of them. I can respect it.
Absolutely. And it did create some energy to talk around, different cars that were driving around, which is fun. Not very often do you get to talk cars, right? Like most of the time, if you're with a significant other or a partner or something, right, it's always about something else. So to get to chat about different cars and different stuff that
Yeah.
I was seeing was a lot of fun. And I want to say thanks. It wasn't fun choke down some of the grouper that I had to force, but going to the home of grouper, I was very disappointed with a lot of the local delicacies. Had to get some grouper cheek from the local market. That is my favorite. So thanks to all the detailers. There was plenty that reached out and said, "Hey," or "What's up?" and "What are you doing here?" People saying, "Hey, I got married right next to where you're at." It's like, how the hell do you know? Like the
Yeah.
eyes that people have are
Oh yeah.
pretty interesting to know exactly where you were and how far away you were from where they got married. So fun time for the community there, seeing everybody reach out. Thank you. I realized though that I should have bought something. Maybe I should have bought it at the beginning of this episode. I don't know. I definitely need to go get it on my Amazon list right now if it already hasn't been sent. And that is the Ducky valve stem covers. Like, wow, you didn't see those? I'm in love. There's now a valve stem cover that's made of little rubber duckies, which is I listen, I'm surprised that Billy, our Miata guy, he's officially kicked out of Miata guy, right? He said he should get him for his Miata. Listen, that's a Jeep guy thing. Just stay in your lane, Jeep
Well, I'll
guy.
say
I
this: Jeep and Miata guy can't be kicked out of anything. I mean, what's there to be kicked out of? Like, let's all be fair here. What are you going to be kicked out of? I mean,
plenty of poop.
there's nothing to be kicked out of. I mean, nobody wants to be in it except you. So it's like they can't kick people out. They won't have any people.
But
I
what do you think
mean,
of these valve stem covers, man?
I think it's
Listen,
all I think it's all stupid. But I
I
look,
got
I'm
you
very
some salt
particular
line
about valve stem
stickers.
covers.
I got you some Salt Life stickers. You can't get me some
No,
valve stem covers from a
no.
ducky? Come on.
I will not support this foolishness. Get yourself, some nice color match valve stem covers. And like I said, I think Billy should get him for his Miata. He's not gonna be kicked out of anything. There's nothing to be. I mean, these guys don't have any. They have, just like Jeeps now. There's no limit to the idiocy that goes on. It really started out as a cool thing. To see where it is now, it's like, oh my god, dude, it's just a shame. It's just a shame.
We did get to ride in an Uber Jeep, and he had a couple of them. I told him, I said, "Hey, man, your ducks look great." He goes, "Oh, this is my wife's Jeep. She's got a whole
Exactly.
bag full." And I was like,
Exactly.
"Oh."
100%. 100%. I mean, that sums it up. I don't really need to say a whole bunch more.
So I did see this comment though, which was interesting on a video. Somebody had tagged us in a video where a guy was doing a rinseless wash, and he starts it off by going, "Listen, I'd never do a rinseless wash on a daily driver. This is garage kept. It's only cleaned about every 3 months." I go, "Hold the phone here. You started the video telling people don't use this on a daily driver. First off, right? How idiot, like, no. Can you should use it rinseless on a daily driver. Absolutely. But I do get the point. This is the thing that people will question back and forth with rinseless to foam washing is dirt. How
Mhm.
how in depth do you or your guys, how far can the car go, or what steps should we think about when we're going, hey, I really want to do rinseless. I see the practicality of it, but do we ever just evaluate, hey, it's too dirty for a rinseless?
Yeah, I mean, we just released, I think a 30-minute video this week or today, actually. So you can go check out our YouTube. We did a whole discussion around rinseless and waterless. It's awesome technology, man. Like, you need to embrace it, but there's limitations to it. You live in a place where if you guys got some rain and a guy's going out to the oil field, it's going to make rinseless and waterless not practical, right? Could it be done? It could, but should it be done? Probably not, right? A pressure washer has its place. Rinseless and waterless has its place. Out here, if we get into the summer and we don't see rain hardly at all for months, rinseless and waterless is very effective on a daily driver. Now, we kind of have a cutoff. If I don't see a vehicle, I think where rinseless and waterless shines a lot is that if you're always taking care of your car, meaning on a weekly basis,
Weekly? Mm-hmm.
I think rinseless and waterless is the perfect fit for that. And I'd say once a month, pull the pressure washer out and get in the cracks and the crevices and all that kind of stuff. And I'll still say this: I haven't seen a bunch of effective ways to clean wheels and tires consistently in the rinseless and waterless world with no pressure washer, no water. You could definitely do it with a tint keg very easily because there is substantial pressure if you do it right, and
Yeah,
you could.
go into that. That's what I was going to ask because I know there was a question. Wesley put it out. Hey, loving. He built a keg on his own.
Yeah,
These are fun. You can go buy these old Pepsi kegs. There are big people that recycle. You can go to brew companies or home brew companies and get some kegs. You can make a keg for yourself, or there
yeah,
are ones that I know somebody else posted in the group about. Hey, with TRX, anybody ever might be a little tough. Doing pump up spray all the time. What about
yeah.
this type of keg or sprayer type system that uses air that you have to go fill and
Yeah,
compress the system?
I think it's look, we have a bunch of kegs. We have kegs in the shop, we have kegs on the trucks for our collection work. We've been using tint kegs for a very long time. The pressure helps knock off some dirt, knock off some dust, things like that, where it's not going to be ground into the paint or you don't have to worry about it as much, I guess would be my way of saying it. And so it's an awesome thing to have. Is it necessary? You can get a lot done with a spray bottle. You can do a lot with a spray bottle. So again, don't go out and spend 350 bucks on a keg and a setup and think that's the only way to do it. It's a nice little additive. Our Marilex sprayer, the black sprayer, does really well with a rinseless solution, waterless solution. And so those are additive. But I've always said there's always a cutoff line, right? If I have an excessively dirty vehicle, it's just going to get pressure washed. It's that simple. I really do have always, and again, I say this in the video. I mean, if I go back to 2010 when we had to start this because of collections and whatnot, I say this all the time. There's just a line to me that I'm not willing. Maybe it's the extra work, but also I know I'm not going to be able to get it as clean if it's really beat up. Somebody takes a Raptor or a TRX out into the sand dunes or to the mud in Tulsa. I mean, you've been doing this a long time. That really isn't the right place for a rinseless and waterless. And I know it's like so many things in detailing. There are people listening to this that go, "Well, I rinseless wash everything and I use a tint keg for everything." And cool. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying I think there's a dividing line.
And the dividing line that I think happens too with people is you're right. Those kegs will do some pressure when they're trying to knock some stuff down. I think I've always, Waterless was the first product I actually came to market with. When I believed in something to put a label and a brand behind myself and go put it out for sale, I love the idea of taking a bottle and spraying it on a car, using some microfiber towels and washing the car. Like to me, it's still mind blowing. Given that I come from, having then also owning a car wash and the way we would do that, like, so to be able to take and people will go, oh, it's not possible. That to me, it really became why I was infatuated with a waterless product. Taking the keg, the interesting part and pumping up and getting a keg so pressurized to then go spray, I do love, agreed. Love that you can go knock off stuff and you can go get in pretty close and get some chemical out there and start knocking. I find it ironic though. I just think there's so many detailers, and this is that curse of the detailer, or what we want to call it, a virus of, oh wait, I'll spend too much. All right, I can't. I'm just putting too much chemical out. I can't use it that way. I do need to just have a couple trigger sprays. And
Yeah.
no, you got a dirty vehicle, you better load it up. Absolutely, you should. And there becomes, right. That I think that's the way I always judge it. Do I have to load it up too much? Then I shouldn't. Right. I should go knock some stuff off. But listen, I can go through weekly. Absolutely. That's why I had to bring it up, because I saw this and I go, what's the deal with people in Rinseless of hate? Like, no, you can't do this on it. You can't. It's just crazy. So yeah, everybody go check out that rinseless waterless video that we did out on YouTube. It is good for us to be able to go through and kind of start dissecting things. Did you see in the group? And this is what I think is funny. Listen, you say about people that are, they're not car guys. They're more a manufacturer. They're a type of car guy. And this was why we joke about Miata guy. I'm Jeep guy. We talk about Dodge truck guy. Dodge truck guy got a hit this week, right? You see the different Ford stickers that were posted about,
Yeah.
I eat Chevy and poop out Dodges or whatever.
Mhm.
But there was a guy that was like, my mistake was buying the Ford and should have stuck with the Dodge.
Yeah.
Well, what do you
No, dude, the whole truck scene is to me wild.
what
Like
do you
I've told
think
you
though?
that.
I know you talked about it on this last Friday on the Ask Me Anything, but then we had another question about the new Dodges, that the way they're coming out. What are your thoughts? What do you think?
Electric is stupid for them. They're a company struggling. I mean, they are struggling. Jeep is in trouble. The Dodge brand is in trouble. Rams are 900 days of supply. I just don't know why this is the moment to do this. Challenger and Charger have done pretty well for the brand, right? This is the time you're going to jump electric, when we know the kind of people, and this isn't just to Charger and Challenger, those people buying, sub $60,000 vehicles, now that would be the price. Let's say sub $50,000 vehicles largely aren't going to have the capability to charge these things. Because remember, electric vehicles only work if you can charge them at your house. We know houses are becoming less affordable. You're hearing that all the time. So we had the lowest number of houses sold in Las Vegas since the 2008 crash last year. The numbers just came out. Now, prices are healthy because, there's no supply, right? We have no supply here. You have no supply in Tulsa. You have no supply in most of these cities. So the prices aren't taking a hit, but affordability is taking a hit. And so you see less people getting into homes. And now you have a manufacturer like Dodge selling sub $50,000 vehicles and going, well, you'll figure the charging out. No, you won't figure it out. It'll become a huge inconvenience to you unless your place of employer has chargers. If your house isn't capable of having a charger, there's another problem. So you can't charge it at work, you can't charge it at home. Now, again, if you're lucky enough to work at a place that has the chargers, then this isn't a problem. Do I think that's most places? It's not most places that I see. Some of them have that, usually upscale places that are making a lot of money. Not all of us work there, right? So I don't know what they're doing. I think they made a decision and they said, we're going to stick to the decision. Forget about the fiasco we've had the last 3 years with our inventory. We're just going to keep moving forward. Forget it. Forget that Ford's cutting production. Forget that Chevy's cutting production. Forget that Apple dumped their autonomous electric vehicle program. Forget that the world is saying this isn't working. We're just going to go full steam ahead when we're the manufacturer in the worst position to do this. And, the quality control, I said this on Saturday's episode. Dodge is struggling with a quality control issue on something they've been building for over a decade. Their engine, their electrical system, all this stuff that should be finely tuned by now. I have a Dodge general manager that I know of, a huge store out here. He's like, we've never had it this bad. We've never had more new vehicles come back, new trucks come back, new this come back, new Jeeps come back. This is the time to do it. And again, Dodge, Stellantis as a whole have, that program has had nothing but electrical issues since I've owned one. And I have a 2003 Dodge Ram. Everything electrical has been a problem for Dodge as long as I can remember. Let me build an electric vehicle doesn't give me a lot of hope.
No, I had a really interesting talk with. I made the mistake I told you earlier with hitting the comfort button on the Uber too much, right? So one of the Ubers I got to ride in was a Tesla, and we were a little shocked. It was like, okay, man, things here in Florida are different, right? Until I realized I
Yeah.
was hitting the comfort button, but we're still going. Hey, this guy's riding around in a Tesla doing Uber, so I got to ask him, right? I got to ask him the question, like, and to him, it was finances. He talked about, yeah, I got this charge and I did this, but he's like, I can operate this vehicle at, and I think he threw it out something like 12 cents a day or something. I mean,
Yep.
he didn't incorporate all the other stuff, but for some reason, he found that electric was great for him because it was such a operational cost. It was so small. But most people, you're right, most people aren't if they're coming from, and especially, that's why we joke, a Dodge guy, right? It, it doesn't matter what vehicle or what it, once there's something about Dodge people, once they own a Dodge, they're just going to continue going down and getting another Dodge until this moment. How many Dodge people will now start to wonder if they're going to switch over to a different brand? I believe with you. I think it's going to create such a big cluster F for so many people that might cause some big issues. Another big issue that does happen, which we're glad, I'm so thankful that we've been able to get out ahead of it. An issue that does happen when people get into a car is when they go and smell it. And they take that whiff and they, oh wait, I'm allergic, and they can't have right XYZ. So there was a post, it was great to see. It was a Bronco, not one of your favorite new vehicles either. But the favorite part about this was the detailer had used Revive, and the customer was so thankful because of their allergies. We always got to commend you with that, and it was a thing that we talked about when we first put it out. But it's because of your customers, right? It's because of the way they are around your vehicles, their vehicles that you take care of. That's why we wanted to make sure Revive was so pristine.
Yeah, we have, speaking of this, we have not only this post, but a conversation I had last week. We sent some product to a very, very high end PPF shop in the Midwest. And I said, this guy specifically was referred to us because of Revive. And so when he got his product, he's making a switch from a major manufacturer. He's like, hey, man, walk me through the products I got. And I said, well, you came over because of Revive. Tell me a little bit about why. This guy works on McLarens, high end BMW. I mean, just name all the top, brands that you would say are probably exceeding over $100,000 in initial cost. And he goes, look, man, I can't keep having this stuff smell up the interior. And I go, well, use Revive a few times this week and then just send me a text or give me a call. And he said the exact same thing this poster said, which is cars are getting to a place and a price point that if you think your customer wants to get in and smell pina colada, cherry, whatever, when people start paying a lot of money for cars, this is why we developed Revive. They want to smell the car, right? They don't want to smell dirt from their kids. They don't want to smell body odors, but they also don't want to smell cherry scented anything, right? Because it takes away from everything. And like you said, maybe somebody also has very strong allergies, right? To me, a proper interior cleaner should be very neutral in scent. Now, when you open ours up, you'll smell a slight scent to it, but it's a cleanliness scent that when you spray it, you wipe it down, there is no scent. That all dissipates. That's just part of the formula. And I think what I was lucky enough to be introduced to in some of the higher end cars is those cars smell so good from the factory. They're using high end materials. They're using high end Alcantara. They're using high end leather. They're using high end stitching. They're using all these things. When you really back away from it, you go, I wouldn't want my Bentley to smell like a cherry. I'd want to smell the Bentley leather, the Ferrari leather. That's the charm of those cars. And so now, when you go down to somebody's Bronco who has allergies and you just use a product like Revive, you don't have to even sweat it. If your customer really loves a scent, buy that scent, spray it in their car. That's a very simple fix. Scents are what, like $5? I mean, they're very, very affordable. The vast majority of people you do business with today are not going to want a scent in their car. And the other thing they don't want is a heavy cleaning scent. That traditional APC, that traditional, we see it with these guys using, diluted degreasers. The other end of that spectrum from cherry and pineapple and pina colada and whatever is this heavy like cleaning chemical scent. Very few people find that amusing at all. You know that. You don't like to get in your car and be like, damn, what the hell happened in here? Right? So the neutrality of Revive and basically just getting it back to factory finish, it's going to be a hit with more people than you think. And some of these people have never said anything to their previous detailer. They just lived with the misery for a week or 2 weeks and just let it wear off. But then once you remove it, they go, wow, my interiors never look like this. It's never been like this. What they're not realizing is they're not smelling that heavy cleaning or heavy fragrant smell, which they've been so used to. And a lot of times it can lock you in a customer for a long time.
Well, yeah, I love that you just said that where you go, hey, I wish I saw this on a comment. I wish my detailer would have told me that. Right? How many people will find somebody to clean their car regularly, but are kind of going, boy, if something would be better, it'd be great. I wish somebody would have told me that. I wish my detailer would have. And this was a comment right inside of our YouTube. You mentioned the YouTube videos earlier. This is where one of those comments was, boy, I just wish my detailer would have told me that. Definitely around fragrance, definitely around cleaners is the thing. The other thing that people are wondering, and you mentioned about Rinseless, and there's the glass cleaning that we just did. There's this comment about somebody go, oh, well, just ammonia and water, but with towels and microfiber, this is the way. And it was kind of incomplete. Right. This
Yeah.
is the interesting part about those comments. Sometimes they're kind of incomplete theories, but he was going, hey, towels and microfiber is really all you need. Well, kind of makes sense about this comment. Somebody else said, our podcast and videos are like a kite in a hurricane. Help
What's
me.
that?
Help me, Nick. I was hoping your big brain could translate that
I
for
don't
me. What is
I
our
don't have YouTube commenter brain. We see some wild stuff, man.
what is it? A kite in a hurricane that we're just flying around going crazy? I really was curious about that. Is it because there's so many people that will go, "Hey, I can just mix ammonia water." I had somebody say, "Hey, can I put Dawn dish soap on some floor mats?" I mean, can you? Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. Can you rub that window with ammonia and a towel? You can. Will you have lint? Most likely. Will you have to work at it too hard? Most likely. You
Will you
can.
burn up some tint? Yes.
Right? There
Right?
you go.
Like, again, man, we get to this place, and this has been a great learning experience. So I don't want anybody to take this negatively, I swear.
Yeah, no.
You see everybody's got this conspiracy theory mindset now. Like, well, you could just use, 50% ISO and 50% water. Yeah, you can. But here's what's funny. When I go to high end tint shops, which I did a lot when I was in Phoenix, when I've done a lot in Southern California, you know that. You've been to people that do high end tint. Their finish process is a glass cleaner they really like, whatever that is. They use a lot of isopropyl alcohol and a lot of cleaners and a lot of slip solutions that could act as cleaning solutions. Their finish step is a glass cleaner that they've vetted to clean as the last step. That's all these guys do for a living is clean glass. That's like 75% of their day, right? On a car. And they all just grab that thing they like, spray one spray on the outside, spray one spray on the inside, nice finish to the window, and hand it back to the customer. I don't know why there's so many conspiracy theories. I know one thing. The people that use our glass cleaner, and you've said it on these episodes before, the biggest feedback we've gotten is when we built that from the ground up and people started getting their hands on it. We've had major manufacturers get their hands on it, pull me aside at SEMA and want to have a meeting about our glass cleaner. Don't tell me it's all the same. Okay. Windex is not the same as our glass cleaner. So ammonia and water is not going to be the same as our glass cleaner. So alcohol and water is not. I'm not saying those things can't work. I'm saying the inherent danger on a tinted window. I'm saying struggling to get the finish, the lint left behind. Isn't it just easier if you take care of cars and you have to spray one spray on the inside, one spray on the outside? How long is a gallon of our glass cleaner going to last? It's
Too
like
long.
people think you're going to become Bezos off a glass cleaner. It's like, just guys, this is what makes YouTube an educational platform for us, is because we get to see what people are battling that are trying to learn more about how to take care of their cars. And so that is the positive for us, is because now we see why so many people can have so many bad experiences. Because if you read enough comments, if you go to enough places, you're going to get this idea that you don't have to use this. You can use this. You can go to the dollar store. You can do, yeah, man, you can do all of those things. That doesn't mean that you're going to have the greatest experience or going to get the greatest finish. And so there's a trade off in all of that.
So battling is right? There seems to be some things that people battle, and then that's what they want to come out and talk about. We had one guy, and I can really appreciate the other people in the community that will chime in and leave comments too. When you got somebody, having some crazy comment, and I believe it was Keva that talked about slick and why they should use slick, because it was a comment where somebody was asking us, "Hey, I'm using this finishing spray, right? We call them all kinds of different things, but they call them a detail spray or whatever. I'm using this detail spray on the outside, but it's gets streaky if I put too much, but if I don't put enough, my towels all, so he's having a real problem with this product. And so then he asked us what he should do, right? Any tips? Okay. So if somebody is struggling with a product, and we also say, and most people also say, hey, listen, don't go just buy everything, figure out something, get this thing, and then use it. But if you got somebody and you go, listen, this spray is doing this, and we know of popular sprays that's streaky and are really horrible, but they're marketed really well. At what point do we take, right? This is a question that it is an internal question we all have to ask, but it is strange to see somebody struggling and go, yeah, man, just use slick. Like, I I don't know what to tell you in your struggle, except that there's probably a formula issue.
Yeah,
So
could be.
just switch to this.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to look at your process. If you use a really wet towel, any spray is going to look streaky because what you don't realize is the streak is that your towel's not picking everything up, right? That can be a problem. So address your process a little bit. But if you're like, hey, I've tried 5 different towels and I've tried dry towels and I've tried this and I've tried that, and this product's just giving me nothing but a headache, and it's your, 7th, 8th use of it. I just tell you what I did. I just threw that kind of stuff away. You and I, probably have at this point in our career hundreds of thousands of dollars we've purchased that you go, hey man, didn't work for me. You throw it out. You don't go bitch and leave a review. You don't go into a Facebook group. You just kind of toss it out and move to your next thing.
I think
And
most people
again, you
leave it
don't.
in their cabinet. They junk up their cabinet and they think that maybe
Yeah,
later I'll go grab that bottle again.
which none of us do. And look, we're all guilty of that, right? I mean, we have stuff in our cabinet like, man, why do we have this? I never liked it the first time I used it. And so there's just times. And look, Slick was probably a real reason that I bought into hyperCLEAN. I shared some of that on Saturday's episode. But I told you one of the struggles I had were companies telling me these last sprays had to be streaky. You don't understand. It has to be this way. It has to be this. It has to be that. It never felt right to me. And so, along with Revive, Slick was one of the first things you and I undertook as a business together. Was like, I'm not going to keep fighting sprays. I don't care what we have to do. Now we have some things behind the scenes that we're working on to maybe share with people about Slick coming up. We hope we get to an even better place because there's always room for improvement. There's always room to make things better. But I say this when I see people struggling, and I know the popular products out there, and I've tested them, and I'm like, if I put this in my business, my cars that we take care of are going to look worse. I'm going to have a car in my shop that I do a final wipe down on, and it looks worse. I can't have it, and I can't sit there and battle the streaks. There's no time for that. This is harming me, and the same would be the case if I was doing it in my own home garage. I'm not going to sit there and battle a formula issue just because somebody told me the product was good, right? And that's what a lot of guys just go down with the ship, right? I mean, you know that. Their buddy told them about this product. They keep using it. They keep acting like that's what it's going to have to be till they get to a point. Then they start asking what the hell's going on way too late. And most likely they're going to go make another bad decision on whatever product to use. If you want an easy to use last step product, Slick is built for that. We're not sitting there telling you this is going to last you a year. This is meant to be used consistently on your car, to make that finish of your wash and detail a little bit more enjoyable. And that's why we've never overpromised about Slick. It's really about getting a great looking, clear, a little bit of pop at the end of a wash.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw this comment. I had a little bit of discussion with somebody. This is a trainer, and this I find it interesting. There's more and more and coming out, and it's the way of the industry, and great. Wonderful. I understand you, right? Like when somebody leaves a comment and you go look at their stuff, and this was a well written comment that made me want to go look at who is this guy? Why did he write it? Oh, got it. You train detailers. Okay. He really questioned why you would hold the polisher on the battery. Just seems like a horrible decision to be trying to teach or train people to hold the polisher by the battery. While at the same time, I'm always very curious of people that, have corded machines. And we would always used to joke and laugh at people that don't put the, oh, well, I watch videos now and I just, because it's funny and I love to do it, I don't actually make the comment. But if I see somebody polishing without a cord wrapped around, even a trainer from some of these big
Yep.
manufacturers that are now paying people to go teach people, and they just grab the machine and start going to town and don't actually put the cord over the shoulder like it's this official technique. It is interesting how people do want to dive into some particular things around
Yeah.
detailing, whereas I don't know. You seem like you would be that guy. I think most people would assume you would be that guy. Like, is there a checklist where you have to check off that you're doing all these things the right way, or you just grab the tool and it makes sense to hold it by the battery because of the counterbalance. Oh, but maybe with a team member or something might happen. I shouldn't teach somebody to hold it by the back. I mean, how far do you go into your process, or is there some of it where you're like, I can hold the thing like this. It's easiest.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's comfort. If you guys haven't used, the product, the tool we were using was the Milwaukee, extremely heavy battery on that, and we were specifically, and this is what's fun about making content. You see how many people hear the words coming out of your mouth, but don't listen to what's being said, right? I specifically in that video say, with the way this tool is built, I'm going to support the battery because the hardest thing for a beginner to learn is how to hold the pad flat. So if they hold it from the bottom of the battery, they're more likely to keep the pad flat, keeping the pad spinning on this particular DA polisher. That was part of the video. This guy missed that part of the video, or he heard the words and didn't listen to what was being said. Look, man, I got to look at the tool and how the tool is weighted to know what to teach a beginner to get a result. Again, a lot of you guys that have a lot of experience, you're going to hold the tool that fits how you polish a car. When you're teaching somebody, and we've gotten a lot of comments about our polishing from beginners, like, hey, man, really, I want to say thank you. This helps me. This helps me. What you learn is I got to look at the tool. I'm going to hold a flex much differently than I hold a Rupes in a lot of cases because a flex does really well with pressure directly down on the top because it's forced rotation. With a Rupes, I got to worry that I got to keep spinning the pad. So I'm going to hold it a bit different. And by the way, if you hold those flexes the same way, that metal part gets super hot. You're going to burn your hand. Okay. So again, it's tool oriented, but you have to listen to what was being said in the video to get to that part and understand that these batteries tilt the machine so far towards the rear end of the machine that if you don't support that battery as a beginner, you're going to wonder if you keep doing something wrong and you can't get the pad flat. That's what I mean, that was the first time you and I had ever used that tool, right? It became just inherent to you and I, like, hey, this tool has a balancing issue because of the battery. This may be an easier way for you to hold the tool to make sure you get your pad flat when you first start polishing a car. And what you
Mhm.
say as a beginner or to a beginner is much different than somebody that has a lot of experience with tools. The same would be happen on an electrical company to, and when they're teaching guys about tools. Hey, this electrician is using tools 180 degrees in the opposite direction. He's 40 years in. This guy just starting out, man's got to learn the basics, and then he's going to find his little way of doing things. And so it's just different for beginners, right? For you and I, if we begin a skill, we're going to want to start with the basics. And the basics is holding a pad flat, and the battery presents some problems with that, with the tool that we were showing on the video.
It does. I mean, I think it presents a lot of different workarounds. Let's call it that. I think that's really what I wanted to say to these people is like, is there a set process? I don't see everybody throwing the cord over the shoulder. Why not? I don't know. Maybe they forgot. There's times I've forgotten until I bump it and I go, oh yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
you do realize as you continue. And I think that's why I was like when people were always so concerned about team members and how do we train and keep people, but then do we beat them up over simple things like this? Oh man, you can't hold your tool that way. Oh, you got to do like that does become a lot of those problems of micromanaging in a sense, the
Yeah.
way it comes across. It almost would make sense now to go, hey, I shouldn't even get any corded tool. I should only always get battery operated tools. And, does it then matter which way? I mean, this is when that you start asking that
Yeah, I mean,
how far,
my guys
what do you
all hold it a little differently, right? Whatever's comfortable. It's also really big on hand size. You got bigger hands, you can hold the tool a little differently than a guy with some smaller hands. I mean, there's all kinds of things. When you're teaching a beginner, man, you just want to start them somewhere common sense that gets them comfortable holding a tool on a car. That's it.
So there's something that's talked around in other parts of business or other parts of next level of getting and achieving things, or right. It's all this stuff that you could go with. Hey, stay in this way and don't go in this direction. That direction, one of those directions is a scarcity mindset, right? You've heard that, right? Like scarcity. But then we read this about, maybe this guy's making a comment or we see things it's this fear of what could happen. It's this fear of something, and it is almost, don't you think, that it's like a scarcity of but don't hold your tool this way because that we saw this. Not that I thought it was an interesting back and forth dialogue around priming your pads and things that you do around that part. And somebody was talking about, well, you're gonna have a drier pad if you don't prime it that much, so you'll burn through your pads faster, and I don't want to waste pads. And I just
Mhm.
go, hold on a second here. Like, are you cutting paint or are you saving pads? Like, there does become a point in detailing where we do have to think about that scarcity mindset of what are we so scared of losing out on? We're so, you say it, like stepping over a dollar to take five, whatever that little saying, like,
Yeah.
but I think of scarcity and I go, gosh, how many of us are so concerned about grabbing TRX and just spraying it on some rubber mats, but we got to think about using some random thing. I, I see this a video of a guy properly telling me how to prime a pad and all the stuff that goes around it. But hey, you're gonna make me buy more pads that way. Like there's this always this idea of I'm gonna have to buy more to do more, and this scarcity to go do that. Buy more to do more. Why is there a scarcity around that idea?
Look, man, we've gotten to a very strange place. Maybe it's all society. We just happen to be in car care where everybody wants to do everything for a dollar. Oh man, I only want to spend $1 a car. I don't want to spend two. I'm charging $1,000, but if I spend over $2 on this car, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, we hear Mildred say that on his episodes. He's a distributor, so he's dealing directly with the consumer every day in person. He hears what's being said. That's why we take guys like his opinion so seriously. It's not just online. It's what people will say in person in a store. I don't know what the hell it is. Because I can tell you this, if you do my method that we shared on that video, your pads will last years. Years. If you load up a pad, work it to death, the biggest problem with damaging pads is excessive heat from overusing them. That is because what happens, Marty? The backing plate, the twist and loop or whatever it's called, it starts to wear away. It goes away. It splits from the pad. It's not repairable. That pad's dead now. It's not like you can stick another one on the back of the pad.
Listen, and it's interesting when you go talk to pad manufacturers about the different glues, and I mean they can really geek out on that hook and
Oh
loop and
yeah,
all the different stuff, the foam to here, and well, we were using this glue, and but we started seeing these heating problems, and the glue would release. Like it's a science even when you get down into that.
yeah, and you know what it's like to me is it's always been like headliners on your car,
Yeah.
right? Once the glue's damaged, it's a wrap. That
Mhm.
headliner's coming down, right? And so you see guys acting crazy cleaning headliners. You've seen them in your career. You may even have been part of it. Nobody thinks about the glue. And so when you think about a pad, everybody thinks about the foam or the microfiber. They don't think about the backing plate interaction and that heating up and the glue starting to basically fail. Well, that happens because you're trying to go around a car in one pad or two pads. And, in this video, we're showing a Range Rover. Hell, even the doors are big. So you got a big hood, you got huge doors, you got a big tailgate to maneuver around. You got, obviously the passenger side, you got more doors, you got more square footage. How hot do you think that backing plate's getting? Especially if you're using something like a Flex that can get hot. So now the machine's hot, the pad's hot, you're running it hot. Why put it in a pad washer? Okay, then you're heating it right back up. And so you're taking the glue from extremely hot to a quick cool down back to extremely hot. You don't think the glue's going to fail?
Anybody seen
Go do it on your
potholes?
headliner,
Anybody seen
right?
potholes?
Yeah, I mean it's like it, and again, I
Somewhere.
understand that we all want to do things for the most economical price we can do them. But what we do, whether you're a DIY or you're a professional, detailing a car is very affordable to do. To do it right, it is. It is one of the most affordable things you can do in the car world as a whole. Is detail a car. It doesn't cost you very much to do it properly. And so if it did cost you a lot, that would be the message we put out there. Hey man, this takes you a lot to detail a car. You guys need to cut your chemicals this way. You guys need to use one pad only. If I thought it was that expensive, if the math panned out that it was super expensive, then I'd be the first one to tell you, hey man, you got to cut some costs. That's just not the math of it. Most people are detailing a car for less than $5. On $100,000 Range Rover, there's no reason to have this discussion. But to some people, like you said, maybe it's a scarcity mindset. Maybe it's also they never sat down and did the math mindset. That it isn't actually that expensive to do things right. Is it that expensive to have Revive, Foam Wash, TRX to clean your car? How much are you going to use on a car? I mean, you're not going to use that much. You're going to use a few dollars. Then it's just elbow grease from that point. The chemicals don't cost you that much. If I have $100 in pads and they last me 2 years because I care for them right, it literally costs me pennies to do each car.
And don't you think as you get, I mean, it's not that one of those old man, but like it just seems like as you get older in life, older in business, it doesn't matter. Like you just want things to be easier. I would rather go ahead and spend a little bit here so that I don't, you mentioned elbow grease, so that I don't have to put as much elbow grease in it, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't have to do as much manual hard work. I do want to let some of these things start to really work for me. I,
You also, you know what you learn? The elbow grease causes the damage. We get it, man. You can buy some cheap chemicals and you can damage with chemicals, but a lot of the damage you've seen in your career has been cheap chemicals on top of really aggressive elbow grease. That's what you've seen.
and or, right? You're right. And I also see later people that aren't as happy as others. And,
Yeah.
especially I'm sitting there breathing in the fresh, salty air, seeing the sun, seeing the white sand. Like, what makes you not want to smile? Like, I'm an Oklahoma boy sitting in Florida smiling because it's just like, yes. Then you just see the people and you sit and you just go, okay, well, so much of Florida is come to retire, right? Like to achieve this point to where you don't do anymore, and then you just walk up and down the beach like life is golden, like
Yeah. The golden
quote unquote
years.
golden years of your life, right? Like, and I just then also think of these people that are struggling. Screw, I'm grinding. I'm going to grind with store bought cheap stuff, or I'm going to grind with this stuff that I know it's not. The guy that made the post. Well, I'm putting this spray on and it's all streaky and I'm not working. Like, what's my like? So it begins to question how far do you go through life unhappy? If you would have used these sprays or used some other things that maybe cost you a few more dollars or something, and it makes your life better, makes you less work, makes the car look better, makes the whole process better. Like that's see, how, right? You just start really questioning. Like you're supposed to arrive at this point in life to where you get to a place. What are we supposed to be unhappy through the whole way till we get to this place that we're happy?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, man, there's a fine line in all this. You don't want to go out and waste, thousands of dollars. You don't want to go out there and waste money you don't have. You do want to be intelligent about picking the right products and the things you use, but most things that cost more for a reason, right? When you buy a nicer watch for the first time, you go, "Oh, I get it. This watch I've been wearing, it cost me $100. Yeah, man, it works. Doesn't feel as good on my wrist, doesn't fit as well. It's a little bit more uncomfortable." Then you buy a little nicer one, you go, "Oh, yeah, they got the ergonomics of this figured out. This kind of worth it." Right? And the same goes. I mean, we got a lot of young guys listening to us. Look, man, you can have a really enjoyable experience with your car for very little money. Why not just do it right? You don't have to be a millionaire to take care of your car or a customer's car on a high level. You just don't have to be. That's the brilliance of all this, right? Is that you can really do it right, make your life easier, make it more enjoyable, enjoy the sunshine if you're a mobile guy, gets to work outside, right? Like you might as well enjoy it along the way. But there's I'm going to get over on the man, right? The man's been trying to get me. I'm going to go to the dollar store and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to show him. And, Wally's World has this on sale. So I'm going to, buy a whole bucket of this and it's going to save me all this money. And it's like, dude, there's just a level unhappiness of going through life that way. Cause I promise you're not spending that much more to do it right. Just like you and I talk about. If you want to buy a really nice t-shirt versus a cheap t-shirt as a company, it's negligible the money. It's negligible. Now, if a nice t-shirt was $1,000 a piece and a run-of-the-mill t-shirt was $10, hey man, we have a discussion. If the cheap t-shirt's $10 and the good one's $13, I'm going to spend the $3. I mean, it's negligible, right? But a lot of people just they don't ever get talked to that way, or they're not surrounded by people that think that way. And this is where it's important, right? Like who you surround yourself with, even at a young age. I can tell you that I made a lot of mistakes because I was surrounded by the wrong people. You can say the same, right? When you look back, you go, man, I just kind of got sucked up in this thing and, I shouldn't have been sucked up and I wasted 3 years of my life, chasing this or chasing that. So a lot of this, what you call scarcity mindset or we would call, cheap behavior is because when you start to advance, and I think this kind of happens after the age of about 25, right? Before that, we're all kind of just figuring things out, partying, having fun with friends, going out. We're just kind of enjoying life. But there's this big dividing line about the age of 25 where this one group of people goes this way and this other group of people goes goes left and the other one goes right. And the people that seem to go right seem to start understanding quality much quicker. That, hey, I'm going to pay the extra $50 a month and get into a better apartment or whatever, or another $100. And yeah, I'll have to work a little bit harder, but I'll live in a safer neighborhood. And you can see this in your own friend group. Everybody listening can know that. You had friends that went left and you had friends that went right. And whatever friend, whatever group is the one in a better place about the age of 25, it's pretty noticeable that if you'd have went with this group over here, you'd have had a higher quality of life. And that's what you're really paying a lot of money for, right? If you want to eat better food, you got to pay a little bit more. If you want to have a housekeeper, if you want to have a landscaper, if you want to have a pool guy, those are quality of life decisions because you can do all those things. You're capable. I'm capable of doing all those things. But everything becomes a quality of life decision. And that's where we all end up.
So there's some of us though that we kind of differentiate between quality of life and quality of business, right? Like there's almost like this business life. Is it different than personal life? Like do do we want to sell somebody? We talked about that $800. I got to get my $800 because my baby needs it, right? There's that guy. And I think there's a lot of us that strive for a good figure. But then what does the rest of our life look like? What does life versus business life? Do we live our lives with the same quality that we then want to sell somebody out of a business? Or you think it's kind of
Yeah, I think
cattywampus?
this is an interesting thing because I think that for a very long time in my life, I thought business and personal were two different things, right? But then as I kind of watched, friends around me, got new friends, moved to new cities, met new people, and saw successful people, I think they kind of, if you don't act the same in both, you're going to have a really tough time in life. You're sort of the same person, right? This idea that you can work 9 to 5 and then at 5:01 you turn into someone else. I just don't think that really happens. You kind of are who you are, right? So quality people are quality people in business. They're quality with their family and their friends and their colleagues. They're just quality people, right? And so I think you kind of look at this and everybody wants to make business something and they want to make personal life something else. What I've seen from the most successful people is they marry those two together. They're the same human being. And I have a story about this. So we've been made aware of a company really, really struggling. Very public company, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of trainings, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of discussion. And you and I actually like these people. They've been very great to us. But I started hearing some stories in the last 18 months of like, this guy's an animal to work for. Like, he yells and screams at staff behind the camera, and he yells and screams at installers behind the camera. And he's, this jovial guy on camera. I didn't think a lot of it. It's just like, it's just hearsay, but I heard it so much. Get text messages, or I'd have some of him. I actually had a couple of installers of his reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'll relocate to work for you." And I was like, this is kind of strange. But in a very quick period of time, we started to hear that this company was having problems. So this idea that you can be someone on camera and then you're going to be somebody at home and then you're going to be somebody to your employees, I don't think you can sustain that. You and I've had this conversation with our people on the content side of things. The most important thing to me, and I think to you, was one word. We wanted our videos to be authentic. Hey man, this is who we are. And some of you aren't going to like the way we speak, and some of you are. And that's cool. You guys got to, everybody's got to pick their lane in life. But that's the number one word about this podcast. And especially as we started making YouTube and content, we just said, hey, man, I just want to be authentic. I don't want to get on camera and be somebody I'm not. I don't want to get on the podcast and be somebody I'm not. And I do think you think it's easy to make yourself believe you have to be two different people, right? I got to be somebody at work and I got to be somebody at home. And I think that's a hard life to keep up. And I didn't realize that for a long time. I didn't have that like personal discussion with anybody. It's just something that I've seen is that the more authentic you are, and the same even keeled person comes to your house and comes to your business, I think you have a greater chance of success.
I think when we look at our lives and where there's this place we want to achieve, right? Like we do want to, at least for me, like I joked earlier about salt life, right? Like that is why I have this weird fascination with getting to a point in life where I can walk around the beach and do nothing. And at the same time, I realize that I'll probably never get there, right? Like that's
You'd be
just a dream.
miserable. You'd be
Yeah,
miserable. Miserable. Like, all
what
these
would you do?
psychiatrists and psychologists say that. They're like, if you ever achieve anything in your life, this idea you're just going to go sit somewhere and drink daiquiris, that's not real. Like, it's just something we all think. I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. It's like, man, I'd love to get up and have nothing to do. And then like 2 days into vacation, I'm like, Jesus, this sucks.
Let's just say that we could get there, right? And then I don't want to go into what we always say. Well, you don't realize how much work it actually takes, right? So let's not go. we
Yeah.
It does take an insane amount, but it does also do what you just said. There's got to be some type of mirroring. If we're going to get to whatever we want to call life now or later, it's life. Life is today. Life was yesterday. Life is tomorrow. Either way, it's life. Do you always think, right? Like, hey, I got to be something different than I really am. Do I be somebody? And I kind of go into just a hair bit more of, do I be somebody different in front of my customer when I'm explaining something to them, as opposed to my significant other, or as opposed to, hey, if I'm in front of a customer, am I different than I'm in front of a waiter
That's a good
or
point.
somebody that's serving me? You've pointed this out about tipping before, and I really think it's something some of us should really look at. What is we expect and we desire, we really want people to give to us. But there's that golden rule, right? That
Oh
old
yeah.
saying of do unto others.
Yeah.
And how really does infect? Like if you can marry your life and you give to others, then it really does come into the businesses and you're giving to your customers, and that it's like this whole ecosystem starts to form
Yeah.
around something that we'll kind of close on this. Like, is somebody more concerned about being nice, or are they more concerned about being good?
Yeah. This is a tough realization for me. I heard somebody say this, and I wish I could remember who, that he doesn't want to be seen as a nice guy. He wants to be seen as a good guy, and there's a distinct difference because nice guys aren't going to step up when the chips are down. right? They're not going to step up. Are they a good person, right? Because good people aren't always nice, right? Think about this. You got a friend abusing drugs, abusing alcohol. A nice person's going to be like, "Hey, Jim, nothing's wrong. Hey, good for you, man. Yeah, we love you." But a good dude is going to pull him aside and go, "Man, you're screwing your life up here, bud. I care about you. Don't want you to see you screw your family up. You realize you're going down the wrong road." There's a very distinct difference, and I think one of the things you and I have talked about is why didn't corporate America jive with my personality? I don't really know. I didn't have a problem working for people, but there was something about the corporate structure when I started to think about taking a job or seeing how things work that nice people are rewarded and good people really aren't. Nice people do what? They play the game, they send the nice emails, they send the happy birthdays. But those are the same people that are going to in a private meeting shank you in the back to your boss. The good person just doesn't do that. They just do their work. They make sure they're accountable. They make sure they do what they say they're going to do. There's a distinct difference there, right? So there's a lot of people that get a lot out of life by being nice. But what you're talking about is just being a good dude, and we call it being a good hang. You got those buddies that are good hangs. Why are they good hangs? They're good dudes. They're gonna they're not gonna really talk behind people's back. They're just gonna sit there and have a laugh. They're gonna make jokes at your expense and their expense. And there's a very bit distinct difference. And look, man, I struggled uh, a lot in my life by not understanding the things I was seeing, right? I didn't really understand nice and good. I didn't really understand why this guy was having success and this guy wasn't until I just kept looking at it and going, oh, this guy works really hard. He's really freaking smart. He sacrifices to no end, and this guy is just whatever reason that he failed. But I had to look at it, right? I had to really like look and go, why is this happening? And you're not always going. It's not always going to be clear. But I think this nice and good conversation has really piqued my interest, for a variety of reasons. Because man, when you're nice, you get pretty far, but you ultimately don't get to that top level in business by being nice. You get to the top level in business by being good, meaning you're going to keep your word to your team members. You're going to take care of them. You're going to take care of all your business. You're going to be somebody that your customers can depend on, but you may have to get a little bit cross with a customer who's treating your staff poorly. Nice guys aren't going to do that. They're just going to be like, oh, whatever. And their staff just got harassed. A good guy's going to go, hey, man, you don't talk to my guys that way. Very distinct difference there. It's small, but you know how it is. I mean, you've worked for people that stick up for you and you've worked for people that don't. Nice guys largely don't stick up for their people. Good guys are like, hey, man, if we got to take this outside, you're not going to keep doing this. Like, I'm a good guy and my people love me. And, it's one of the things that I always say to you, my guys, if I told people how much money people that work for me owe me, it'd make them throw up. They're short on this. They can't pay for Christmas. They blew their money at the casino. They did this. They did that. Their car got towed. They didn't save their money properly. Nice guys will just be like, it's no big deal. Good guys are going to go, hey, dude, I'm going to give you this money, but you owe me the money. Like I'm gonna be there for you, but this is coming out of subsequent paychecks for the next. I mean, I got guys been paying me back for 8 years, but I'm not nice about it. I'm good about it. Hey, if you need something, dude, come to me. But you're going to pay me back, right? And you got to give those life lessons. And it's taken me a long time, number one, to learn how to be that person. That's tough. It's not like you're always born that way. You got to learn some of these behaviors, but you also got to understand if you're nice, everyone's going to like you. If you're good, not everyone's going to like you because there's going to be times you step up and you say some things that some people don't want to hear.
And there, I think, is the most of us would probably have the hesitancy, right? We we're okay. Maybe some of us are okay with talking with people, but having a confrontation or having this moment of escalated heart rate and wait, well, this person's like go into that scarcity mindset where sometimes we would rather, you know, put something under the rug or, wait till another day to deal with it, right? Something around these that come into our orbit and we're like, yeah, I don't really want to deal with that today because it might be a little rough, right? I might have to say something to somebody, or I might have to deal with something that's not nice. I can be a good guy and not be nice. Nick, you said that. Like you can be good and not be nice. And that kind of creates a question like, how am I good to my customer, but I'm not nice to my customer? How am I good to my detailer that this guy cleans my car, right? There was this guy earlier going, boy, I wish my detailer would have told me that. That detailer was nice to him, but he wasn't good to him on the information.
That's a good point. It's a good point. I mean, those are some of the dividing lines, right? Like I said, part of being a good person, this is why we get into this like warranty conversation all the time, right? A warranty is nice, but it's not normally good for your customer because they're going to have to call an 800 number and they're going to have to deal with these headaches and they're going to have to do this and they're going to have to do that and they're going to have to be this certain way and they're going to have to whatever. And so there comes a point in time where you just have to make a decision on how you want to be. That's why I said my number one way of talking to my customers is I'm going to treat your car how I'd want my car treated in the situation that you're in and the things that you told me. And sometimes that doesn't mean they're going to buy the nicest thing. Sometimes doesn't mean it's going to be a comfortable conversation. It's like when I had that Bentley with the broken window show up and the guy goes, if I would have just had tint on it, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Tint's not keeping this window from cracking. Let's talk about it. A nice guy would have just agreed with them, like, hey, yeah, if you just get it tinted. It's like, no, man. I mean, let me just tell you how it works. That wouldn't have saved you here. I know you're in a headache. Let me help you. I can make some phone calls for you. There's a very big difference there. I could have misled this guy just to shake my head and agree with him. Or I could have taken my time and said, hey, man, that's not how it works. Let me try to help you find this window a little quicker. Let me call some body shops. Let me get you in touch with some people. And ultimately that paid off for him. We're going to find him a window a little quicker, you know, and he's super thankful. But he didn't need somebody to be nice to him. He just needs somebody to be a good service provider to him. Like, dude, just tell me how it works, right? And I mean, dude, those are scary times. If you've never had to like look a customer and say, dude, what you just said, that's not how it works. I wish it worked that way. Doesn't. Those are uncomfortable at times. Or, I got a guy we're working with now that's saying a lot of crazy things that we're having to get in line before his car comes in here. And it's uncomfortable at times. But I just rather be square with him because I don't want a problem on the back end where he thought I left him out of something just because I wanted to go along to get the car in here. That's a bad sales process. Going along to get along and being really nice is really important. Okay? And you want to be very respectful of your customers and of your family and of your friends, but a lot of times being good to people is telling them exactly how things work, especially in this business where very few people are doing that.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I've got some more beer to drink and grouper. I smuggled some grouper on the plane. Don't ask me
There you
how.
go. There you
I
go.
smuggled it though. And I got to go put some on and get to it. So great discussion, man. I love it. I love these little talks when we get into some of that stuff. So good
Yeah.
car talk and good life talk. So hope
All right,
everybody have a
brother.
great day.
Talk to you soon.